You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, Friday was fun to watch as the Celtics beat the Bucks at TD Garden and extended their home win streak and their overall win streak to 3 in a row. Those streaks all came to an end Saturday. A great game, but the Celtics come out on the losing end. And maybe you'll believe Brian Scalabrine and yours truly, the Memphis Grizzlies, when healthy and when clicking, are a very good basketball team. With that, we welcome you to our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college basketball play-by-play announcer. Always respected Larry Bird's talent, but to this day, still believe his black Converse were the absolute worst basketball sneakers of all time. And by the way, Larry Joe Bird, Larry Legend, celebrating his 68th birthday on Saturday. You are right where you need to be. You are locked on with the latest Locked On Celtics postcast. We are providing reaction to every Celtics game all season long on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as the Locked On Celtics podcast feed. You know the podcast free and available wherever you get your podcast. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to discuss the Celtics' fifth loss of the season. We're going to discuss Memphis coming in with a game plan and executing it real well. They did not trail at any point through the first three quarters. I really did think when the Celtics took the lead in the fourth, that was it. But Memphis, a resilient group, they ran their game plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close as they win by 6, and for the first time in a long time at TD Garden in Boston. We do want to hear from you, our everydayers and our first-timers. Don't jump off just yet. Plenty of back and forth on Friday after an impressive win at home against the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's talk about tonight's loss against the Memphis Grizzlies. Watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit the comment button and join the conversation. Give us your one random thought on the Celtics loss at home against Memphis. It can be anything. You can also follow us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. You can follow us on the X as well, at Lennox on Hoops, with questions, comments, or concerns. Our latest Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. And with that, if you win that $5 bet, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. Again, all you have to do is win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So Brad Carson is the general manager of ESPN Radio in Memphis, Tennessee. We've talked over the years. Brad is a terrific person. Wonderful at his job, great reputation. Earlier in the summer, Brad invited me to be on as kind of a guest host and with different hosts that he has Monday through Friday on ESPN Radio Memphis. So obviously talking about the Memphis Grizzlies on a couple of different times with one of the hosts, Jeffrey Wright, and saying, you know, this is a style that they want to play. John Morant healthy, ready to go, full season. Can they play at a breakneck pace throughout the course of the regular season? I don't know that they were that up and down and that fast on Saturday, but boy, oh boy, can they execute a game plan. John Morant, one of my favorite players to watch. Jaren Jackson Jr., one of those guys, boy, if he's healthy, he's a great talent. He's an all-star. And they both showed up in a big way. And the return of Marcus Smart as well. Didn't have a great night, but ultimately his team walks out of Boston with a victory. Now the Celtics down by 4 after the first quarter. The Celtics in the first quarter, 7 of 23 on threes. There were 3 of 7 inside the three-point line. And the Celtics had 12 points in the first quarter off Memphis turnovers. Pritchard had a late 3 in the first quarter, and that brought them to within 4. Tatum missed on a three-pointer at the buzzer at the end of the first. Celtics down by 12 at the half, gave up 35 points in the second quarter. Celtics were down by 5 going to the fourth quarter. Down at the end of three quarters for the second straight game. Prior to that, 12 games where they either won game or tied going to the fourth or led in the rest of those games going to the fourth quarter. And in that third quarter, the Celtics, again, not a bunch of threes, just 4 of 13. Remember, 0 for 12 in the second quarter Friday night against Milwaukee. These good, talented teams, opposing teams against the Celtics right now, they're starting to understand the game plan. Doc Rivers, part of the game plan, shut down Payton Pritchard. He had a nice response to not scoring Friday night. Finished with 20 again. Knocked down, I think, 6 threes. We'll get into the numbers of the night coming up a little bit later on. KP had a big third with 12 points. He went to the locker room in the second quarter, had a mid-range jumper, first points of the game in that second quarter, and Brown was not a whole heck of a lot. Brown had 6 points, 0 3-point attempts in the first half. Tatum only had 6 points in the first half. He was 0 of 7 from behind the three-point line in the first 24 minutes. But after Porzingis in that second quarter hit a mid-range jumper, kind of twisted his knee, went back to the locker room, was on the floor for the start of the third quarter, knocked down back-to-back threes. Celtics were within 6, just like that, a 6-point game. But never led in the third, just like in the first half, never led at any point. Celtics would get close. Memphis, every single time. Celtics, a couple occasions, got it to within 2. Memphis had an answer. Fourth quarter, Brown a 3. Game tied at 94. Pritchard a 3. Celtics' first lead of the game. That at 97-94. Then, with the Celtics on an 8-0 run, Jaren Jackson Jr. a basket. Pritchard another 3. Celtics were the first to 100. They were up by 4. They had an 11-2 start to the fourth quarter. Now you're thinking, hey, Celtics are going to take this one, right? They've got the energy. They're ready to go. They've got this one. But then Huff knocks down a 3. Huff, to me, looks like one of those guys from one of the Superman movies early on with Christopher Reeve, where they all come to town. They're all dressed in their outfits and the big guy with the beard. It's not a knock. Just could be a future Halloween outfit for Mr. Huff. Huff, his 3 made it a 1-point game. Celtics answered. Drew Holiday, we're going to touch a lot on Drew Holiday. Had a basket, methodical, patient, got inside to the right of the lane, off glass and in, free throw. With that, Drew Holiday reaching 16,000 career points. Scottie Pippen Jr., have to be impressed with him for the Grizzlies. Basket inside the paint, Memphis up 1. Pritchard missed a 3 with the shot clock winding down. Cornette, no good on a putback attempt. And right there, I was like, oh, opportunity. Grizzlies have taken care of their opportunities tonight. At that point in time, you're thinking, you've got to come away with points in that situation. Jaren Jackson Jr. again with a basket. Celtics down 6. Brown a fadeaway on the baseline. Down 4, 111-107. Kind of getting back later into the fourth quarter. Morant missed on a 3. Tatum missed on a 3. Got a little ugly for both teams. Not in terms of chippy or anything. It was just a physical game. Porzingis had a big block, was falling out of bounds, got the pass back in. Pritchard to Brown, they went the other way, couldn't connect. Bane with a basket, then the lead up to 9 late in the fourth quarter. Brown hit a 3, back to 6 with 90 seconds to go. Jump ball out of bounds. White and Bane going for it right in front of Drew Carter and Brian Scalabrine. Successful challenge for the Grizzlies. A lot went right for Memphis. And a lot has to go right for the opposing team to beat the Celtics overall, but especially in Boston at TD Garden. End up winning the game. They close it out and win 127-121. If the Celtics on that jump ball situation, ball went out of bounds, if it was their ball in that situation, it was a 4-point game, 16, 17 seconds to go, it would have been interesting. Let's get into your comments. With us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit the comment button, join the conversation. Max, 19 of 28 from the free throw line. Max, appreciate it. Yeah, there were a lot of misses. And Jaylen Brown, a guy who gets to the line, Drew Carter mentioned it, 7-8 times a game, didn't get to the line a lot in what was a very physical game. Memphis, when they're on, they're a physical team. They're going to play through whistles on the offensive end. They're going to attack as well. And what Memphis have? Memphis had 23 free throw attempts. It could have been a lot more on both sides. But Max, you'll hear me say this every once in a while. You may have heard me say it before. Yes, that's part of it. 19 of 28 at the free throw line, under 69%, but 30% on the three-point line, 18 of 60. That's a huge number. I think that's a season high. 105 attempts overall. 60 from behind the three-point arc, 45 inside the three-point line. I'm chuckling at myself there because I had to do the quick math, and that math is simple. 63 attempts, 45 inside the three-point line. They were 40% inside the three-point line. But, it's a good team. And we talked about it Friday night after the Milwaukee win. Someone mentioned, who in the East challenges the Celtics. Right now, I don't know. I think it's Boston in the NBA Finals going through the East. But you get to the West. We talked about it last night. And Memphis is one of those teams. And you're going to get into the new year in 2025, and the Celtics have some rough road trips coming forward. So now 19-5 on the season. They win their next game, and it's at home, and it's against Detroit, a team they've handled fairly well. They're right at the same mark they were last year. And I'd have to go back and look at it. You guys would know better than me. But I'd have to go look back at it. If you're 20-5 through your first 25 games this season, with, Al Horford was out on Friday night, and I'm, just like Max with the free throws, I'm like, well, every team has injuries. There's been a couple times this year where you haven't seen the best player from the opposing team, or at least they're real solid role players. The Celtics have had guys in and out. But to be where they're at right now, that's great. You need to win as many games now between now and the end of the year. And then you get into January, and it gets a lot tougher. You've seen a lot of teams in the East, a lot of bad teams in the East, and the Celtics have feasted on them. Not saying it's going to go down, it's going to go south immediately. It's not. It's not. But they're going to be challenged going forward after the first of the year. Play on Christmas Day, play a couple of days later. But the free throws, the three-pointers, Memphis just challenged. Memphis came into Boston and just had a different mindset than they'd have had in the past. First win in Boston since November of 2013 for the Memphis Grizzlies. You think that was on their mind on their trip in? Absolutely it was. And they're going to make the rest of the league take notice at this point in time. Saturday night, This game, really? This game should have been nationally televised. I get Celtics Bucks Friday night. I get it's college football season right now. We're in early December and conference championships and stuff like that. This should have been a nationally televised game. I don't know if it was the game of the day, night, and game of the night, whatever. It's a heck of a basketball game. It really was. And I want to make up a point coming up in segment number 2. About the Celtics and trying to come from behind, because it's something I've been beating the drum on for quite a while. Keep the comments coming as well. Steve Lennox with you, Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Hit the comment button. We're a little light tonight. That's okay. But don't you dare jump off the Celtics bandwagon. A loss to a very good Memphis team. Yeah, you don't want it. But even the great teams lose on occasion. The Celtics have now lost for the 5th time this season. Night number 2, segment number 2, broadcasters' observations of the night, and my random thoughts as well. Mike Driscoll's not with us, but you know what? He hit us up on the X at Lennox on Hoops. He was at the Garden for the Pistons and the Knicks. We're going to get into his random thought as we continue on the Locked On Celtics postcast. And we are presented by Robinhood. Locked On Sports Boston, Locked On Celtics postcast, your team every day. Again, random thoughts coming up in just a moment. And again, presented by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth. The generous benefits are now available for just $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com/gold. Terms do apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit the website again, robinhoodgold.com/gold. It's robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. All right, again, Celtics lose 121 the final Saturday night from TD Garden against a very good Memphis Grizzlies basketball team. Taylor Jenkins, very good coach, and his team executed the game plan in fine fashion. Celtics 3-game win streak comes to an end. Celtics 7-game home win streak comes to an end. Celtics winning 10 in a row at home against Memphis. That win streak comes to an end. And the Celtics, prior to Saturday night, had won 6 in a row overall against the Memphis Grizzlies. So win streaks come to an end. We got Max, and then we got Max Pig. All right. Should Missoula have went with a wing such as Walsh or Peterson after Hauser went out instead of double big with Queta and Luke? Max the Pig, great contribution right there. Much appreciated. Sydney, we get to you in just a moment. I really took notice of KP and Queta playing on the floor at the same time because I've not been calling for it, but I've been curious to see how it would play out. Queta had a couple of blocks, rebounds, basket. There was one instance where I think Tatum was coming down late in the game. I think he passed to Holiday, who went to Queta, and he lost the ball. I think everyone on the floor was expecting Tatum to continue to the basket. Max Pig, pardon me, could have. There was a certain energy that the Grizzlies play with, and I did wonder if Walsh could have perhaps – Peterson, I don't think so. But Walsh, I think, could have come in and matched some of that energy, gotten to a 50-50 loose ball, gotten on the floor a little bit more, maybe have closed out better. Cornette had, I think it was late, didn't have a good a closeout on a shooter on the 3-point line. Yeah, absolutely could have. But in Joe Mazzulla, I trust. You can always say they could do different things. Would Horford have made a difference? Yes, I think he would have. But to the Celtics' credit, 60 3-point shots, they still ended up getting inside. They drove to the basket. I think it was in the second quarter. Brian Scalabrine made mention of it. They're going to the basket more because the threes that they would normally take in previous games this season, they were not taking those shots. They were scuffling a little bit. But they understood. I think it was in the second quarter. They got into the bonus early with over 6 minutes left on the clock. And Scalabrine had mentioned it on NBC Sports Boston of maybe someone mentioned, hey, we're in the bonus. Let's take advantage here. They didn't. More, they did not take advantage of that bonus situation. But they went to the rim more, and they have the ability. But again, three's more than two. And that's been the Celtics this year. Max Pig, appreciate that. I love that you brought it up. You gave me a little reminder as well in that. But I'd like to see, again, I think maybe against a different team, Queta, KP on the floor at the same time has its benefits, has its advantages. Against Memphis, boy, they can move the ball. They're number one in assists, and I said that Friday night as we were looking ahead to Saturday's game. They share the basketball. And like the Celtics, as you saw Memphis moving the ball inside, outside, all around the floor, that extra pass, you couldn't help but think, this looks like the Celtics in some way. They share the ball. They'll move the ball out of the paint to the 3-point line. They'll make that one more pass. They'll have a good look at a three. They'll make one more pass to get a better look at a three. And they knocked them down in big situations. When they needed to go to Jaren Jackson Jr., and he can shoot from long range, but he can also put the ball on the floor and hit a mid-range jumper. They've got maybe more balance than the Celtics. Max Pig, again, appreciate that. Sydney, weird little stretch toward the end with the blocks and the turnovers. And he left JJJ. Yeah. Sydney, I like that. I think you were listening to Brian Scalabrine. I think Drew Carter referenced Bill Simmons on his podcast refers to and references Jaren Jackson Jr. as JJJ. Yeah, they gave him space. Part of the game plan. Play him again later in the season in Memphis. You give him that same space. Maybe he's not knocking down those shots. But yeah, great observation. Appreciate that. Yeah, down the stretch, they were letting them play. And the fans were booing the officials. And there was a sequence there where I think Derek White ended up on the floor. at the end of it, but maybe there were 2 fouls there that could have been called. They let them play through some stuff. And I don't know that I really had a problem with it. I really don't. I don't think I had a problem with that in terms of how physical that game was. In a way, can you say that both teams deserved to have the benefit of the doubt, deserved to have the officials sort of put the whistles away? Because I do think it was a well-officiated game. Yeah, the home crowd wasn't, again, it was physical. Derek White went to the floor. A foul absolutely could have been called. But yeah, back and forth, there was a sequence. It was physical, and they were playing through. And Derek White, a couple of times, I got to get into this here. New segment and segment number 2. Going to try to see how this works out. Broadcaster observation of the night, my Around the League with random thoughts coming up as well here. I'm going to get through these quickly. White, great hustle in the second quarter. Play led to a couple of free throws. Drew Carter said another Tommy point. I love that. I haven't heard that too often this year. Also, Scal in the second quarter, they're passing up. This is that reference. They're passing up on shots that they normally take on the three-point line. Tatum getting to the rim. And again, Tatum in that sequence where Scalabrine was bringing that up on the broadcast, he got to the basket. He was able to draw a foul in that second quarter as well. There's one more from Scalabrine, and he was right. There's certain guys in the league worth the price of admission, referencing John Morant when Morant had the reverse dunk, and Morant saying right now he's not going to go in with the emphatic dunks the way he used to anymore. And he did have another one where there's a steal, and he's proven himself right. Went in and just kind of dunked it nice and easy. But he had a reverse dunk, and Scalabrine saying, hey, there are only a certain number of players in the league worth paying the admission for. The Celtics are a team worth the admission. Tatum is a superstar, but Tatum within confines of this team makes him that much better, makes the team that much better. Individually, John Morant, just one of those guys. You put the money down to go see him play if he's in your gym. And then Scalabrine had one more, and it's in my game notes, but he basically said the Celtics were knocking on the door. I think at the point they were down 8 or 9 points. They're knocking on the door right here. It might have been late in the third quarter. See if I can get to it. See if I can't distract myself too much. Yeah, Scal, third quarter. Knocking on the door to getting back into the game. Celtics got back in the game. Celtics took the lead in the fourth quarter. And I've said this before. With their ability to knock down threes, getting back in a game, they were down by as many as 14. But getting back in the game, it doesn't seem like the Celtics, when they're down by double figures, and there's been a handful of games like that, doesn't seem like they all exert all of their energy. When they finally get back to tying the game up or taking the lead like they did in the fourth quarter, they didn't run out of gas in that situation. Memphis just executed over and over and over, and that led them to winning by 6, 127-121. Again, Memphis, a very good basketball team. First loss of the season for the Celtics. I should save this for numbers of the night. Again, first loss of the season for the Celtics on the back end of a back-to-back. First time this year. Were the shots falling all night long? No, they weren't. Were there times where the Celtics could have mailed it in? Yeah, but the Celtics don't do that because they give you a championship effort. And Derek White a couple of times, losing the ball. I just alluded to it. Losing the ball, chasing down from behind, creating a steal, creating a turnover for the Grizzlies. All right, real quick, around the league with my 3 random thoughts, or a couple of random thoughts here. Marcus Smart returning. His team walked away with a win. Celtic fans know Marcus Smart. He's getting on the plane tonight or tomorrow morning. Don't know what their travel schedule is, but he's happy. His current team, the Grizzlies, beat his former team, the Celtics. I don't believe hyperbole or embellishment will ever come into play when someone talks about Marcus Smart and his contributions to the Celtics on the floor, to the organization overall, and with that, to the Boston community during his 9 years with the franchise. Marcus Smart in college was a player I love to watch. Marcus Smart as a pro has had a terrific career. 9 years in Boston. And when he came into the game in the first quarter and he got the ovation, that was so richly deserved! Exclamation point. The Wizards ended a 16-game losing streak with a victory Saturday at home in D.C. against the Nuggets. The 16-game losing streak is over. They're now 3-18. Nikola Jokic in a losing effort. This will make you just want to lose your cookies. 56 points, 16 rebounds, 8 assists, 22 of 38 from the field. Numbers of the night when we continue. Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel and part of Locked On Sports Boston. Hey, you know our Locked On Celtics Postcast, Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day. FanDuel is a great sponsor of Locked On Sports, and with that, we do appreciate it. FanDuel. And with FanDuel, you can get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you have a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You will get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel.com, never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, it's not that I get distracted from the comments section and keep them coming here in segment number 3. If you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, and I didn't forget, I just forgot for a moment. Because this is a first time for us. Mike Driscoll is an everydayer. We give him a free pass. He was at Madison Square Garden for the Celtics game Saturday, and he hit me up on the Twitter, on the X, at Lennox on Hoops. And he was talking about being at the Pistons-Knicks game at MSG in New York. Pistons won that game, by the way, 120-111. Celtics-Pistons this upcoming Thursday in Boston, added to the schedule after the Celtics didn't make it to the knockout round of the NBA Cup. Boy, it's been fun not talking about the knockout round and the NBA Cup over the last couple of games. But Mike Driscoll letting us know, appreciate it. Mike, we don't take attendance here. We always appreciate your contributions. But Mike did reach out during the night. And Mike added in here with a random thought. Watching Knicks game in Manhattan, they have no depth. To be down against the Pistons and it is very eye-opening. How much of a threat can they possibly be? I think they'll be better in the second half of the season. I'm not saying that Karl Anthony Towns doesn't know how to play with Brunson and the rest of the bunch from last year. You wonder about the Knicks' depth because Tom Thibodeau is not afraid to play his guys major minutes during the regular season, right? So right now, Mike, I love the random thought. I love the observation on the Knicks. Certainly could challenge the Celtics come springtime in the NBA playoffs. Said it after game 1 of the season back in October when they blew them out at TD Garden. The Knicks weren't ready to go. They weren't prepared for opening night on the road. Oh, well, okay, that's fine. But curious to see how they match up against the Celtics the second time that they play, and that's on the schedule coming up as well. Numbers of the night, Jrue Holiday. From the get-go, Jrue Holiday was the guy who was going to take shots. Again, career milestone, reaching 16,000 career points in the NBA. And I think at one point, Scalabrine said on NBC Sports Boston, Hall of Famer. Jrue Holiday's a Hall of Famer. I'm not making an argument that he's not. I mentioned it recently. Al Horford, on his basketball reference page, part of the sports reference websites, I mentioned him over the course of his entire basketball career, high school, college, Florida, and NBA. His reference page has him only at about 27-28% to make the Hall of Fame. I don't know what Jrue Holiday's is, but Holiday reaching a career milestone. But 8 of 26 overall, 4 of 17 on the three-point line. Celtics 26 assists, but they also had 14 turnovers. Holiday, for the first time this season, leading the team in scoring, had 23. 3 players with 20 or more, Pritchard and Brown, both ending up with 22 apiece. Payton Pritchard, high percentage off the bench. I love the fact that Payton Pritchard alluded to it after the game on Friday against Milwaukee, where he was shut down. I think, 3 or 4 shot attempts the whole game. And they closed out on him. He made some shots with hands in his face. 7 of 12 overall, 6 of 11 on the three-point line. On the other side, Tatum, bad night from the three-point line. 1 of 10 and 6 of 21 overall. Tatum finished 1 assist shy of a triple-double. 17 points, well below his season average. 13 rebounds, 9 assists. Ja Morant. I guess they gave Morant, or maybe it was this. No, I'm looking at. No, okay. I had it wrong. Ja Morant, 32, and he was an assist and a rebound shy of a triple-double. 32, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. And then Jaren Jackson. Jackson, big night as well. 27, 9 rebounds, 4 block shots, 3 steals. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a terrific talent. Son of a former Georgetown Hoya. His dad, Jaren Jackson, played for John Thompson in D.C. at Georgetown. But Jaren Jackson is a terrific talent. But there's the asterisk there sometimes with him of you got to keep him healthy. He's got to stay healthy. Got to stay on the floor. Well, he was on the floor against the Celtics on Saturday night in a big, big way. Marcus returning. Marcus Smart back. Came off the bench. Again, when he came onto the floor in the first quarter, great ovation. And again, as I thought about it, I've never seen a Celtics game at TD Garden. I've been to Fenway plenty of times. There's only a few markets where most of the fans in the stadium or an arena, in a gym, understand the dynamics of a game, the game notes, if you want to call them. They understood Marcus Smart was coming to the game. There were a lot of eyes on that Memphis bench. And when Taylor Jenkins finally said, let's go, you're in. Again, finished with just 3 points. 1 of 11 overall, 1 of 6 from behind the three-point line. He's traveling out of Boston saying, we picked up a win. Thanks, fellas. That feels good. And it should feel good for Marcus Smart. Again, Tatum's alluded to it. Lifetime Celtic with the contributions that he has made. Holiday, again, reaching a career milestone. Celtics' first loss of the season on the back end of a back-to-back. Celtics 7-game win streak at home over, now 10-3 at TD Garden. And just the third time this season for the Celtics with Holiday, White, Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum in the starting lineup. Now 2-1. First loss of the season for the Celtics with that lineup. 6 games in 9 nights. Drew Carter, it wasn't driving me crazy, but 5 games in 7 nights. That's a bear. But if you go back to a week ago this past Friday, 6 games in 9 nights. Now you have a rest. 2 games now on the schedule in the next 11. And you continue at home. You go to D.C. to face the Wizards. But 4-2 in that stretch of 6 games in 9 nights. 5-1 would have looked great. Didn't get it. It's all right. Pritchard, I think I have this right. 32 threes in his last 6 games. That's a big number. That really is. 30. I do have that right. 5 or more threes for the 11th time this year. 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I don't have that right. Darn it. 26 threes. No, it's 32 threes, sorry. 32 threes in his last 7 games. That's still huge. What's on tap? Well, Saturday's game again, concluding a stretch of playing 5-7 and 6-9. After Saturday's game, right now, the Celtics just 2 games over the next 11. I touched on that. And up next, Detroit. Win the next 2. Keep going. Then you've got Chicago back-to-back. Home and home, Chicago, Boston, or Boston, Chicago just before the Christmas holiday. That's going to be fun to watch as well. As always, want to tip our cap to you. If you were with us out live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, thank you very much. If you're part of the podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts with Locked On Sports and Locked On Celtics, thank you very much as well. Thank you to our sponsors, Robinhood and FanDuel. That's going to close it out for us. Remember, we do appreciate it. We do thank you for making Locked On Celtics with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast your first listen every day. Podcast free and available wherever you get your podcasts and also on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel as well. Memphis victorious at TD Garden, 127-121 over the Celtics. Celtics 10-game home win streak against the Memphis Grizzlies does come to an end. We're with you Thursday, Celtics home against Detroit. Now they'll look to avoid losing 2 in a row for the first time this season. You have to go all the way back to the regular season, springtime earlier this year, the last time the Celtics lost 2 straight games. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out immediately after every Celtics game. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics, every day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody.